But what's happening is the middle class right now is buckling under all of this pressure. Here's a perfect example of what I mean. Here's a woman in Atlanta who makes about $135,000 a year, which technically she'd be $5,000 below the poverty line, according to the most recent calculations. And she said that used to feel very middle class, but now she's asking, where's the light at the end of the tunnel? According to Pew Research, they say the middle class can be anywhere between $66,000 and $200,000 a year, depending on where you live. And that's a huge range, but obviously it really depends on so many different factors. People are hunting for bargains more than ever right now, cutting back on anything that's not essential, and they're changing their entire spending habits just to be able to survive right now. And all kinds of businesses are suffering from this. Furniture businesses, home improvement businesses, a lot of restaurants are suffering. It really depends on the restaurant, guys. I hear a lot of mixed things, and I see mixed things with my own eyes. Like, I see a lot of restaurants that are empty, but there's always a handful that are doing well, that really offer value and have incredible food. And also, let's face it, their clientele can afford to patronize them. But this is all leading to a situation where consumer sentiment is falling off of a cliff. The University of Michigan found that 44% of middle-income households say their finances are worse than they were a year ago, and mostly because everything costs more. Only 23% of people surveyed said that they feel better about where things are at right now. And those are probably people that already had wealth before all of this. People who own a house or two, people who have a solid portfolio in the stock market, and we're really able to realize and capitalize on all of these gains that we have seen. And if you're middle class, you're the one who's feeling, higher gas prices and higher property taxes, higher insurance costs, higher groceries, everything. Here's another story from a real family, a couple in Connecticut. They make $115,000 a year. They used to feel real good about things, but now they're sitting in the dark trying to keep their electric bill low. They're not taking vacations, and they're mostly, trying to cut back on expenses and trying to get as much free stuff as they possibly can. They're also dealing with $15,000 in credit card debt from medical bills, plus $30,000 in loans from the daughter's college degree. And the daughter still hasn't found a job, by the way, either. Another middle-class family said they're getting hit with everything at once right now. Their mortgage rate jumped up, probably had an adjustable rate mortgage, not a great idea. Property taxes jumped up an extra $1,000 a year. Insurance went up another $600 a month. And childcare for a toddler is obviously more expensive than it ever has been. So now they're skipping dental insurance, they're cutting back, they're running a rental property on the side just to stay above water. Well, what happens when the expenses on that property go too high and that becomes unprofitable, and now you got to sell that place at a loss? These are the real tough, everyday things that people are dealing with right now, and it's showing no signs of getting any better. And where things really get serious with this topic is that people are running out of things to cut back on. People are already stopping going out to eat for the most part. People are already cutting out dental care. They're cutting back on retirement savings. Like, what else is going to be left? A lot of people are even skipping meals, I've heard. This is a completely unsustainable path that people are on. In my mind, the only way it's going to get better is twofold. Everybody must demand more from our leaders. People need to only vote people in who do what they say they're going to do. And if they don't, vote them out just as fast as they got in. If people don't follow the promises they make in terms of making the economy better and creating more jobs and increasing people's income while decreasing the cost of living, they don't deserve to be in charge right now. The other thing you can do is you can boycott spending on things that continue to go up. And some things, unfortunately, are a requirement. Like, you cannot boycott auto insurance. You can't boycott homeowners insurance if you have a mortgage on your home. Those are things that you legally need to have and can have legal consequences for not having the auto insurance and big financial consequences for not insuring your house with a mortgage. So there are some things that you're just kind of stuck with. And that's why I always condone a two-pronged approach when it comes to improving your financial situation, guys. It's boycotting and reducing unnecessary expenses while simultaneously trying to find a way to increase your income. Because if you can decrease expenses and increase income at the same time, that's going to be really the best shot that you have at doing anything substantial in this economy right now. And unfortunately, this is not just a poor person problem anymore. You know, even really well-to-do people are living paycheck to paycheck. Data from Goldman Sachs shows us that 57% of people who earn an income of $50,000 or less live paycheck to paycheck, but 40% of those who earn over $300,000 per year are living in the same awful financial cycle and are living paycheck to paycheck. You know, the only way that that's possible is you're living way too far beyond your means, spending way too much money, guys. People have lifestyle creep big time when they fall for this kind of thing, and there's no reason anybody earning this kind of cash should be struggling right now, even for a family. The problem is people get so used to the luxuries that you can buy at this income level, and now those luxuries become just expectations of regular everyday life, like an expensive meal, for example. If you used to go out for a $300 dinner, you know, once a year for your anniversary, that's probably okay. But if you're doing it once a week now, because now you just got used to it and you got used to the finer things in life, you can see how quickly those habits can add up for somebody like this living paycheck to paycheck. And then, of course, people take on more debts. That higher income allows you to buy a fancier car with a higher car payment. It allows you to buy a much bigger and more expensive house with a much higher mortgage payment. And before you know it, you're paycheck to paycheck. In fact, less than 30% of people earning $300,000 a year or more say they're making meaningful progress toward both short and long-term financial goals, which is just pathetic, guys, and just shows you that really only about a third of us have the financial discipline to get ahead in life. That's the real reason, in my opinion, why there's such a gap between the rich and the poor. I'm not going to get into this anymore in this video, but something I'm going to talk about more in a future video is how more and more people are turning towards entrepreneurship again, going back to our roots in this country, because the job market is so bad and it's so hard to make it in the traditional economy. And I think that's the direction a lot of people need to go right now in order to start thinking outside the box and surviving. So thanks for everybody who contributed to this video by taking my poll and making some of those comments. Thanks to Christine for stopping and talking to me and giving some real world input into what's going on. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you don't want to wait for my next video to come out, check out this one on the screen right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.